Hello. So, it looks a little different than the last time you've seen it. I worked quite a bit yesterday. I didn't film it because I was having to go to work and I just wanted to get as much done as I possibly could. But I got the drive shaft in, it works. Got the exhaust back on. I got to the point of ready to drive it. And I started it. And as you can see, there's some oil on the ground. Started it up and that was absolutely dumping oil. And I was a little disheartened, not going to lie. So I gave up for the day yesterday and I had to go to work anyway. And I talked to a couple of my buddies that know more about small block Chevys than me. And they both said that they think the problem is probably the oil filter. Now, this has been sitting for about 2.5 years or so. So this morning I did an oil change and the oil filter was not loose, but the gasket was kind of dry. So before we take it off of jack stands this time, we're going to start it and see if the oil change with the new filter has fixed the issue. But I did get it to start yesterday. It ran for maybe 20 seconds. And it didn't want to run. It's been sitting for a couple of years. This is also a very cold-natured vehicle anyway. So it being about 10 degrees outside today didn't help that. So let's see if it'll start today, and let's see if we fix the oil leak. I have you guys down there where the oil leak was. Let's see if we have that fixed now. I'm not sure how well you're going to be able to see it, but I found the issue. Let's see if I can do this one-handed. It's split right there on the end. That'd be our issue. That'd cause a pretty good oil leak right there. So I'm going to get that fixed and I'll come back when hopefully we don't have an oil leak. I got the new fitting put on the pressure gauge, so let's see if it leaks. 95th time is the charm. Well guys, it's not leaking, so let's get it off the jack stands and see if we can test drive it. The snow's coming down pretty good, so the faster we can get this test drive going, the better. Open diff, lots of horsepower, steamroller rear tires, not good for the snow. So let's get going. You're going to check all the fluids because it did leak a lot of oil. You're going to make sure it still has enough in it. And I think I have some more oil over there if it did. And like I said, it hadn't run in 2.5 years. So let's check everything over. Ooh. Yeah, we're low on coolant. Let me go grab some. I use all temp green power, ready to fill. It's pre-mixed and it was on sale. I got a box of 6 gallons for $28. See if I can get, I've already used half of this gallon. Let's see if I can get half of it in there. Careful, SpongeBob. Careful, SpongeBob. Let's let it drain down a little bit. Radiator has run down a little bit. Not a lot. Drink up, little buddy. That'll probably be good enough. And then last thing we're going to do before we put the air cleaner back on is make our own block off for where the trans cooler used to go. Since this transmission doesn't run one, just going to crimp the end of these hoses where I cut them off so we can cut ourselves on them later. Yep, that's closed. Yep, that one's closed too. We're going to call that good enough. Last thing, air cleaner back on. That'll do it. Let's get this shop opened up, get the car warmed up, go for its first drive in 2.5 years. Let's fire this thing up, let it start warming up, and wait as long as possible to open that garage door because it is cold. It's going to be awesome driving with no transmission tunnel. I've got no idea what happened. it just shut off when I shut the hood. I got out because I could see some smoke. It's just oil burning off the headers from where I spilled it. Now it's got nothing. I'm going to turn my heater back on, take a look at this and see what I can figure out, but that's odd. Since the last clip you've seen where the car shut off, chased electrical issue after electrical issue, and I cannot figure it out. When the car shut off, what happened was I forgot to route the battery cable away from the header when I put the starter back on, and it melted through the battery cable. And something shut off when that happened. So I've got to figure that out. I've got to do some research on that. And next clip you see, this car will be running again. I'm ready to drive it. It's been too long. Man, this thing has fought me the last couple weeks. Drive shaft too short, then it was too long. Got that figured out. It was pouring oil, and now this. I'm a little defeated, but come this far, I'm not giving up just yet. I'll never give up on this car. Well, it's not the next day. I made a couple phone calls, and my buddy convinced me that it has to be a ground issue. It has to. I was testing it with a test light, and I could get power at the battery, at the actual battery post, but nowhere else. So I cut the end of the terminal, even though it looked okay to me, and I have a dome light now, so that's neat. Key buzzer, so that's good. I haven't tried to start it yet. Fingers crossed. As crossed as I can get. Toes are crossed too, you can't see those. Let's see if it starts. I think we're gonna fix that before we try to drive it. But it runs again, so that's a win. Shut this door again because it is cold. Let's get that fixed. that's all the test drive we're going to get. I slid off in the ditch over by the house. Luckily, I was able to get out, but there's no way I'm going to get anywhere else. But it feels freaking good to be back behind the wheel of this thing. Fixed car. Done. Now, it's still smoking. I think that's fluid burning off. I spilled a lot of transmission fluid. A lot of engine oil came out whenever we had the broken gauge. So, until I can drive it a little further, we're going to call that a win. It runs and moves under its own power again. I couldn't be happier. I said this last clip was going to be it, but I ended up not having to go to work today, so figured I'd work a little more on the Buick. I started making a transmission tunnel. I've got all but one piece left. Let me walk around to the other side. Made a couple little patch panels there, big panels to cover the side. I just have this piece right here left, and this one's going to be a difficult one because I need to go from here down and also have some sort of curve. So that's what we're going to work on now, but it's coming along. I won't have ankle vents, or at least less ankle vents. We're gonna go with less ankle vents. Our quality standards are pretty low here, so we've just been taking all our out of this old Chevy tailgate. It was rusted out, so it's not like we were cutting up a good panel. But it does have some good metal left that we're gonna use. So I think I'm just gonna cut out this piece. Sure. And go see if that piece is gonna work. We're gonna try to cut it a little big if we can, because we can always cut more off. We can't add more on. Alright, got our piece. I'm sure it's too big, but that's fine. We even got a little bit of metal left to fix something else. Alright, let's see how this is gonna work. It's definitely too big. I need to cut probably right about there, and then we can get the hammer in here and start trying to shape it. So I'm gonna go cut a little bit off. I'll be back. Alright, I cut a little bit off. Let's see. I really need it. Maybe like... There's some shift rods right here. So I can't let it hit this. That's why I bent that up. See, I don't have any fancy metalworking tools, so I've just been bending everything by hand. I think I'm gonna weld this in right over here. Make a little piece right there. All right. Now, let's get over here. Let's see if I can just bend this. I'm going to take the cutoff wheel and cut it probably right along in here. But I've got to go change blades on that. So let me go get the cutoff wheel. We'll cut some of that off. Alright, got a new wheel. I'm just going to cut a little off at a time. Oh, that's perfect. Heck yeah. First time's the charm. So let's weld that in. Alright, make sure it still goes. Yep. 1, 2, 3, 4, and reverse. I'm going to have to bend this rod. I want to bend it up like that, but that's a later problem. Alright, I've hammered out this, patched this little piece right here in, so we're going to self-tap that in. I'm going to try to put a self-tapper here, but I'm not sure if there's enough of this under it to tap to, but we'll find out. I think that's going to be good enough. I might, next time I go to O'Reilly's, buy some seam sealer and put on that if I were fancy, but I wouldn't count on that. It has a transmission tunnel now. I added a shift boot. I had it laying around. I didn't think it was going to fit, but it did. It did fit. I had to slice it because I couldn't figure out how to get this knob off. I kept twisting and it was just, the knob was spinning. So I decided to just cut the boot a little bit, put some electrical tape over it, and I'll be sitting over here, so I won't really be able to see it. So that is fine. But that looks good enough for who it's for. I've decided to paint numbers on the door. I have picked out a style that I am going to try to imitate, and we'll see how it turns out. I'm going to get to masking. I'll speed this film way up for you so you don't have to watch all of this. And yeah, I'm going to get to work. All right, I think that looks pretty good. So I'm going to fill all of this in, and then I'll come back when it's time to paint. I got the masking all finished up. It's time to spray. I don't have any wax and grease remover, so I use carb cleaner because that's good for everything. There goes the cap. Never find that again. Let's spray. All right, it is time to take the masking tape off, and I have idiot number 2, also known as my brother, to help me. So let's get to taking this off. I think that looks pretty good. We're going to go do the other side and show you the finished result when we're done. This side is done. I think this side turned out just a little bit better, but you can't look at both sides at once, so. Not too bad for a dummy doing it. Looks pretty good, I think. I like it anyway. I think that's actually going to do it for the video this time. Next time you see this car, I think we're going to road trip it somewhere. But we have to wait on all the snow outside to melt some, because I don't know if you could tell in the test drive video. I don't remember, but slid it off into the ditch. And I went from here to the house and back, which is about 1,000 feet total. It did get itself back out, but this car with an open diff and wide summer tires in the rear sucks to drive in the snow. So I'm not going to get it out in the snow again, but should melt sometime in the next week or two, and I'll put out a video road tripping this car somewhere. Hadn't decided where. We'll see. See you then.